Member for Canada-Carleton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have an affordability crisis here in Ontario. When this government was elected, they promised a 20% tax cut for the middle class. This government has been dragging its feet for 6 years. So what's their priority? It's certainly not the middle class. It's not our most vulnerable. It's not Ontarians on ODSP or at food banks, or those on surgical or autism services wait lists. But what do we have, Mr. Speaker? We have an $8.3 billion Greenbelt giveaway, now subject to an RCMP criminal investigation. We have a $650 million ThermaSpa parking lot, now under Auditor General investigation. Somehow there's always enough for handouts to developer friends, but the Ontario family, the cupboards are bare. We have grocery chains and the fossil fuel industry gouging Ontarians. Speaker, question for the Premier: will he keep his campaign promise and cut middle-class taxes?
Order. To respond, the Parliamentary Assistant and Member for Oakville.
Thank you, Speaker. I must admit, it's a little surprising hearing that question from that member from Ottawa, Canada-Carleton, who in this House in the last few weeks has said the carbon tax is good for consumers. The carbon tax puts the cost of everything up. Everything. Getting to the legislature, driving your kids to soccer, food, businesses, public transportation. This is a government that has been committed to working on affordability since we took office in 2018. I don't even know where to start with all the programs we've put in place and the cost reductions we've done, but let me remind the member of just a few of those things that we've done, and I'll certainly talk to more of them in the supplementary. We put through the LIFT tax credit, which was the largest low-income tax credit in the history of Canada, helping those individuals in the lowest income tax brackets reduce their taxes. I'll have more to say in a second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, which means I guess I'm not going to get my question answered. The provincial government does have the most applicable tools to help the people of Ontario. If they wanted to, they could bring back rent control, they could raise ODSP, they could raise the Ontario Child Benefit. It's not good enough to write letters if one has the power to actually ease people's distress. Mr. Speaker, Ontarians are still waiting. They're lining up at food banks. They're struggling. Apparently, the voters were wrong to take this government at its word. We know it, the RCMP knows it, and now Ontario knows it. Speaker, will the Premier and his provincial government actually use some of the tools that they have available to them to help the people of Ontario and cut middle-class taxes?
Member for Oakville, Parliamentary Assistant.
Speaker, and we've been using those tools. I don't know where the member opposite has been for the last little while, but we've been using those tools. The member opposite mentioned ODSP. Just last year, we brought through legislation which moved it up by 5% and then indexed it to inflation to 6.5%. That's the largest increase in ODSP's history. Did the member opposite support us and the team over there support us on that legislation? No. No, they did not. But that's not all, Speaker. We've done a lot for affordability. We've increased the minimum wage this year by the largest ever increase in recent history to $16.55 per hour. We've also brought about and extended the tuition tax credit for university students. We put through a 10% cut in tuition a few years ago, and we've extended that freeze for 4 years, putting tuition among the lowest and the most affordable in the province of Ontario. So I hope the members opposite will join us, get some sense, and support the fall economic statement. Hear, hear.